Brahma Murta, or God's hour, or the hour of creation, divine moment. It's not really a secret. Many people have talked about it, such as Osho and Swami Vivekananda, and so many other sages and gurus. When you are a seeker or a yogi like me, this time is a very auspicious time. Now, what it means to be a seeker or a yogi? Being a yogi means you're practicing to realize that yoginess, the full yoginess or the full yogi, is one who has realized the oneness or his oneness, their oneness with nature, the union with nature. So when you realize that oneness, then you are a yogi. That is the seeking. The ultimate freedom is not to be bound. When we say auspicious, what it means is that what we are referring to as the oneness of creation is more available, the grace. There is more potential in touching the beyond. In a sense, oneness happens when there is no distinction. Wherever there is form, there is a distinction. There is distinction. So, the more defined you are, the more you will feel separated from nature or life. So what are the mechanisms? What are the mechanisms which makes this time auspicious or more graceful or more available? Like that presence that we call life or oneness. Fundamentally, all of life, or you can say creation, comes from one source. And all of it only ever exists in this moment. Our existence is always in this moment. This moment is not bound by time, it's always now. So when we talk about freedom or mukti, nirvana on the spiritual path, or what we call spiritual, which means something beyond physical, a spirit, that of the spirit, is beyond boundaries, beyond any limitations or definitions. For us to realize this, it is helpful when the body is not so significant. It is not, it doesn't have so much grossness. Grossness meaning more physical, more available to gravity or resistance. So, Brahma Murta is that time where the earth slips into a zone where it is not so defined by the cycles or it's loose on its axis. Some of the characteristics of this time, Brahma Murta, is that everything feels more silent, more still. If you are awake at this time, if you're not in a noisy environment, there is a silence cutting through the air. When we talk about grossness of body or physicality, physicality exists because of vibrations or sounds. So the lower the frequency of vibrations, the more gross something is, the more available it is to the full gravity on earth. So there are times which have been identified, like such as the Sandhya colors, which is around midnight or midday, or around sunset and sunrise. Let's say around that time. In the same way, Brahma Murta has been identified as that time where there is not a strong pull of gravity, so that it is the best time for one who is seeking to be meditative. So it is recommended that you practice any programs you have been initiated into by a spiritual guru at this time. If you have not, then it doesn't make too much of a difference. You're just a book yogi. If you're a book yogi, you have learned some yoga from YouTube or some book, then you have not been initiated. Sadhguru, who offers many programs through initiation, has talked about this time as the best time to practice yogasanas. Yogasanas deals with the spine. It is about aligning ourselves or tuning ourselves with the mechanics of life. So if you keep your spine erect, if your spine becomes more erect through the different postures that are the yogasanas, you become so much more available to that possibility that we call life. You become more aligned to the oneness. The other programs like Shambhavi Mahamudra, Angamadana, Surya Kriya, Buddha Shuddhi, and other advanced programs will also yield maximum benefits around this time of the day. There are many other conditions which makes practices more auspicious, such as the empty stomach condition. If the time of the month is Ekadashi, which is a day where your body is not really in need of food, and you are fasting for the whole day, and you are up at Brahma Murta, and you perform your gasanas, you will experience that taste of freedom, a taste of the oneness. In my experience, as someone who struggles because of my big nose, a little bit with mucus and keeping my nasal passages clear, on this time, at this time, on this day, there is a lot more freedom in that sense, where my body is more clearer or at ease. So it is much easier to bring it to do what I want it to do in terms of postures and holding the postures. From a previous video, I talked about sound and silence. And one of our meditators, Isha meditators, Vivekananda, he came up with this idea. And I want to thank him for bringing this up. And he has doing a challenge, which is 21 days, waking up at 3:30 a.m. or starting your practices at 3:30 a.m., which is naturally when your body comes awake to do your sadhana or spiritual practice that you have been initiated into. So it is my wish that whoever watches this video is able to take up this challenge. Otherwise, if you're a creator, this time can also be used since the creation is more authentic when you are not so bound by your memory or karma or conditioning. You will not be an imitation because you will have more access to the source of life, the highest intelligence together as one, yoga.